few hours before TakeOver, my Twitter got suspended again. What else is new? I didn't even do anything. One of the last tweets that I sent was a tweet about Alexa Bliss and her birthday and me calling out Alexa Bliss for having no talent. Then I get all these social media trolls and lowlives coming out of their caves as if they haven't seen the sun in 6 months. All of these stands with Alexa Bliss banners and Abby's, and Alexa Bliss stalker tweets in her mentions every single day. And I'm thinking to myself, what is your obsession with people like that? Does Vince McMahon really have burner accounts? Is this Vince McMahon and his minions, his brainwashed minions, going back and forth with me on social media? The reason why I wanted to bring that to light is because of what we seen last night. Specifically with Io Shirai and Candice LeRae. Io Shirai and Candice LeRae had a match at TakeOver. They fought over nothing. They fought over absolutely nothing. It was a standard heel versus babyface feud, with Candice wanting revenge on Io Shirai for stabbing her in the back after Io Shirai lost the steel cage match against Shayna Baszler. It had nothing going for it. It meant nothing. It was for nothing. It was over nothing other than the fact that Candice LeRae wanted revenge on Io Shirai. But by the end of that match, by the end of that 15-minute match, it turned out to be the best fucking women's match of the entire year. The best women's match of the entire year. Why is it that no women's match in the WWE, outside of maybe Asuka and Becky, you could argue, but even that didn't even come close to touching Io Shirai and Candice LeRae? Why can't we get stuff like that each and every single week on Monday Night Raw? And I'm not talking about literal 5-star classics each and every single week. Why can't we get segments and matches regarding the women on Raw and SmackDown that have that same level of importance as Io Shirai and Candice LeRae? Why is it that Candice LeRae and Io Shirai had a match and they made it feel like it was the fucking main event of WrestleMania? Hell, it was better than the triple threat match for the women at WrestleMania. It was better than that triple threat match between Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte at WrestleMania. Why is it that Io Shirai and Candice LeRae put on the best women's match of the year over nothing and made it feel like the most important thing in the world? Meanwhile, we haven't had an important women's match in half a year on the main roster. Why is it that every single TakeOver, hell, even on NXT television, why is it that the women's division on NXT television and on TakeOvers have a true sense of importance, and they always have this big fight feel to them? Meanwhile, on the main roster, it's nothing. It feels flat, it feels lackluster, it feels boring, and no one's interested in it. I don't understand how fans could cater to people like Alexa Bliss and Lacey Evans and people like that. I don't understand how Vince McMahon constantly dismisses this concept of women's wrestling and constantly pushes his favorites like Alexa Bliss and Lacey Evans just because they have blonde hair and a small waist and they look like supermodels. I don't understand why he pushes Charlotte Flair to break her father's record just because her last name is Flair. I don't understand why you would push someone like Ronda Rousey just because Vince thinks she'll make him a quick buck. I don't understand that. Stuff like that only further validates the fact that Vince McMahon is not passionate, not just about women's wrestling, but about no wrestling at all. Take a look at the tag team match that kicked off the show. Now, it wasn't the best tag team match of the year, but it was certainly better than the majority of what we've seen in tag team wrestling on the main roster. The Street Profits in the Undisputed Era had a great fucking tag team match. Probably the best match of the Street Profits' NXT career thus far. The in-ring storytelling and the in-ring psychology that those two teams had together, I don't understand why the WWE has seemingly given up on tag team wrestling ever since after WrestleMania 34. And even when they do put effort into tag team wrestling, they always cater to the favorites, and they constantly push the New Day or the Usos, and they never give any other team opportunities. And when they do give other teams opportunities, they either lose the title opportunity and are put in catering for 5 months, or they win the titles, and then they have a lackluster, boring reign for 2 months, and then WWE gives it right back to their favorites. I don't get it. Why is it that tag team wrestling can be so great if given the opportunity, like the Street Profits and the Undisputed Era? Meanwhile, Vince McMahon hasn't even made tag team wrestling a priority. Never mind an important priority, a priority at all. I don't really know. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand. I'm not comprehending why we can get such great tag team wrestling on NXT and women's wrestling on NXT, and it's seemingly forgotten about on the main roster. Only further validating the point that Vince McMahon is selective with the things that he deems important. Literally nothing on the main roster feels important. Meanwhile, you take a look at Candice LeRae and Io Shirai, that was literally fought over nothing, and it felt like the most important thing on the show, outside of the NXT Championship match. However, no matter how great the show was, and it was a great takeover, no matter how great it was, there's some things that really left me confused. Specifically, the outcomes of the matches really left me confused, and I'm going to try my best to give you guys logical reasons as to why some of the outcomes happened. I don't have a definite answer, but I will certainly try to give you guys the best possible logical reason as to why these outcomes happened. If you don't know who I am, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms. This is the rewind for NXT TakeOver Toronto 2, which took place yesterday on the WWE Network. Now, show started off with the Street Profits and the Undisputed Era in a very good tag team match. I could have watched them go another 5 minutes. I loved the chemistry between these two teams. Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, incredibly over with the crowd. They got the Solo Cup Revolution going. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, they're great at what they do. There is no one better in NXT in the tag team division than the Undisputed Era. The Undisputed Era, despite whoever's the tag team champions, the Undisputed Era is the best tag team in NXT. They may very well be the best tag team in NXT history. They are giving the Revival a run for their money. They are. I love the back and forth between these two. Montez Ford is just so fluid in everything that he does. The kicks that he does, the drop kicks that he does, the clotheslines, the standing moonsaults, the tope con heroes. Like, I could watch Montez Ford wrestle all day long. There was a point in this match where Montez Ford took both members of the Undisputed Era to the outside, and I believe he kicked Kyle O'Reilly square in the shoulder. I almost popped his shoulder out of place. I would not want to take a punt kick from Montez Ford. Back in the ring, we had some back and forth between Bobby Fish and Montez Ford. Montez Ford was on the receiving end of a superplex by Bobby Fish, and then a knee drop from Kyle O'Reilly right to the leg, and then Kyle O'Reilly hooked him in the Achilles hook submission hold, the Achilles lock, and he was wrenching on Montez Ford. And Montez Ford was so close to the ropes. And this was a great spot. Montez Ford was so close to the ropes. He was reaching out to the ropes, and out of nowhere, Bobby Fish comes in with an elbow drop, levels Montez Ford, and then Kyle O'Reilly drags him back into the middle of the ring. Angelo Dawkins comes in. He spine busters Bobby Fish onto Kyle O'Reilly to break up the submission hold. Then we get a Tope Con Hero to the outside by Montez Ford, taking out both members of the Era. I believe Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly were then tossed back into the ring, and then we got Angelo Dawkins spearing Kyle O'Reilly. Then he speared Bobby Fish, and out of the skies, Montez Ford comes in with a frog splash and pins Kyle O'Reilly. The Street Profits retain the NXT Tag Team Championships. I was very surprised by this outcome. Now, at first, I was thinking, maybe Triple H wants to give the Street Profits a longer run with the NXT Tag Team titles, which I really wouldn't mind, because they do deserve a title run more than 70 days. But at the same point in time, it really felt like it was the right time for the Undisputed Era to completely sweep a takeover and win all the gold. It just felt right. And Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish didn't do that. There was another part of me that was thinking, could this affect the outcome of the North American Championship match? And it very well did. It did, which I will talk about later. Then we went to Io Shirai and Candice LeRae. Io Shirai and Candice LeRae, what can I say about this match? This match was fantastic. This was the best women's match for the WWE all year. I don't think anything is going to come close to topping this. If they want to, Ember Moon and Bayley is going to have a hard time, a very hard time, topping this match. Hell, Natalya and Becky Lynch, same thing. It is going to be very tough to top what Io Shirai and Candice LeRae did at NXT TakeOver Toronto 2. Some of the things in this match that they were doing were fucking brutal. I don't even know how Io Shirai and Candice LeRae are even walking. Literally 2 minutes into this match, Io Shirai suplexes Candice LeRae onto the announce table, and the announce table doesn't break. Candice LeRae ends up getting back into the ring. She's on the receiving end of a lot of offense from Io Shirai, including a 619 right to the back of the head, which looked brutal. That could have gone wrong if not done right. Candice LeRae continued to fight back. She was able to hit a suicide tornado DDT. She dove through the ropes, caught Io Shirai, and DDT'd her on the outside. Looked brutal. Looked absolutely brutal. I'm surprised if Io Shirai doesn't have a concussion after that, she sure as hell would have had a concussion after the reverse Rana that she took later on in the match. She took a fucking reverse Rana right on the back of her neck. She kicked out. Candice LeRae follows up immediately with a swinging neck breaker from the middle rope, and Io Shirai kicked out again. She kicked out again. Io Shirai then hit a picture-perfect Spanish fly from the top rope, probably the best-looking Spanish fly I've seen since Jordan Devlin and Pete Dunne last year at the end of November for the United Kingdom Championship, and Candice LeRae kicks out. Io Shirai takes out Candice LeRae one more time. Candice LeRae is down. Io Shirai goes up to the top, hits her patented moonsault, and Candice LeRae kicks out again. Candice LeRae kicked out again. The crowd is going crazy. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. I really did not expect this match to be as good as it was. I thought that this match was actually going to kick off the show, but they have gotten very comfortable with kicking off the show with the tag team title matches, which I don't really mind. After this, Candice LeRae tried for a small package, but Io Shirai rolled out of it and got her in a modified Koji clutch, I believe Mauro Ranallo was calling it. It was a modified Koji clutch, and Candice LeRae passed out to it, and I love the fact that they added the Koji Clutch to Io Shirai's repertoire. I think that this is going to make Io Shirai even bigger of a heel. She's going to be portrayed as even a bigger beast than she already is. And Candice LeRae, she looked strong in the end too. Candice LeRae looked as legit as ever. This was her first takeover, and she stole the fucking show in the best women's match of 2019 thus far. You really got to give it up for Candice LeRae in that match. Fantastic match. Right winner as well. Candice LeRae, I can definitely see being portrayed as that underdog babyface. Io Shirai is going to be portrayed as the next big heel. They need a heel in NXT. Io Shirai is that heel, since Shayna Baszler could very well be going up to the main roster very soon. And I will talk about where I can see them going with the NXT Women's Championship when we get to it. But overall, fantastic match. The best women's match of 2019 thus far. We need to see more stuff like that on the main roster. If we don't, the main roster is really going to suffer. And they're only going to continue to suffer. No excuse why we shouldn't be getting that on the WWE main roster. We get it in NXT. We've gotten it with AEW. AEW, with their past 3 events, have knocked it out of the park with the women. Every single time. That women's tag team matchup at Fight for the Fallen, fantastic stuff. Britt Baker working with a fucking concussion and giving us that good of a match. Riho, Yuka Sakazaki, and Nyla Rose absolutely killing each other at Fyter Fest. And then the Fatal 4-Way match at Double or Nothing. Self-explanatory. Moving on from that, we had the NXT North American Championship match. It was a triple threat match between Velveteen Dream, Roderick Strong, and the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne. First off, can I just say that the Velveteen Dream can make anything work? Velveteen Dream, he can make anything work. You give him shit, and he'll turn it into gold. That's how good Velveteen Dream is. Coming out to the Mounties theme song with the dance crew of the Toronto Raptors. Fantastic. Wearing the Mountie suspenders, wearing the hat, being as flamboyant, wearing the red tights, being as flamboyant as ever. Velveteen Dream can make anything work. I'm thoroughly convinced of that. Velveteen Dream is untouchable when it comes to takeover entrances. He's untouchable. He's absolutely untouchable, and in everything that he does, he can make it work. He can make it work. He made a storyline with Aleister Black over the concept of saying his name work. That's how good Velveteen Dream is. This was an excellent triple threat match. Excellent triple threat. I would have not minded to see this match go another 10 minutes. I was really enjoying this match. But they really wanted to leave some time for the main event. I absolutely loved this match. It was fast-paced. There was a lot of high spots. We had the diving moonsault by Pete Dunne to the outside, taking out both men. Back in the ring, we had great back-and-forth sequences. We had one sequence where Velveteen Dream was on the receiving end of a boot and an enziguri from Roderick Strong. A super kick was hit by Velveteen Dream on Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne was taken out momentarily. Roderick Strong was then taken out momentarily by the Dream. We then had a Dream Valley driver by Velveteen Dream on Pete Dunne. Roderick Strong hit the Olympic Slam. Then he went for Pete Dunne, and Pete Dunne hit the X-Plex. Everyone was taken out. Beautiful sequence right there. I fucking love the sequences. You know, when you have a multi-man match like that, you can bet your ass that Triple H is going to work out something with his producers, work out some sort of sequence that is going to absolutely fucking wow you. And that's exactly what he did. There was a point where Roderick Strong was caught in a triangle chokehold by Pete Dunne because Pete Dunne caught Roderick Strong as Roderick Strong was going for a Tiger Bomb, and Pete Dunne reversed it into a triangle choke. He had him in the triangle choke. Roderick Strong backed up into the turnbuckle, but there was no rope breaks, so Pete Dunne kept the hold on. There was no rope breaks. Ref could not break the hold. Roderick Strong was holding Pete Dunne in the triangle. Pete Dunne was upside down. Velveteen Dream, from the other side of the ring, from the opposite corner, He did a coast-to-coast Purple Rainmaker elbow drop, Shane McMahon style, and caught Pete Dunne with the elbow right in the chest. He completely cleared it. Completely cleared it. Picture perfect, coast-to-coast Purple Rainmaker elbow drop when Pete Dunne had the triangle choke locked in on Strong. Absolutely beautiful. They wanted to, they could have ended the match there. That was a beautiful spot. Roderick Strong ended up gaining some momentum back. He actually had both men on the ropes. Both men, Pete Dunne and Velveteen Dream, were on the ropes, and Roderick Strong ran the ropes back and forth, did one elbow, two elbow, back and forth, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. He did that about 3 times. Then he hit the Cloud 9, the back suplex facebuster on the Velveteen Dream. Then he took Pete Dunne. He did a Tiger Bomb onto Pete Dunne, slamming him on top of Velveteen Dream, and put both men in the stronghold. Both men were in the stronghold. They ended up fighting out of it. Everyone was down. Everyone was down. Pete Dunne ended up hitting the bitter end on Roderick Strong, but Velveteen Dream, the slick, sly, smart Velveteen Dream, stopped the ref from counting 3. He stopped the referee's hand from hitting the mat 3. Pete Dunne was fucking pissed at that rate. Pete Dunne was absolutely fucking pissed. We had a back and forth confrontation between them. Pete Dunne took out the Velveteen Dream. Roderick Strong came out of nowhere. And this is where I thought Roderick Strong was going to win the title. Roderick Strong came out of nowhere with a end of heartache. The Velveteen Dream was nowhere to be seen. He was on the outside. The camera was panned on Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne. Roderick Strong was going for the pin on Pete Dunne. Out of nowhere, Velveteen Dream comes soaring through the air with a springboard Purple Rainmaker onto Strong, onto Pete Dunne. Strong's taken out. Velveteen Dream pins Pete Dunne and retains the North American Championship in an excellent triple threat match. I could have definitely seen those guys wrestle a little bit longer, another 7 to 8 minutes. It was extremely well put together. I absolutely love the way that Pete Dunne works with anyone. Pete Dunne is becoming the UK version of Johnny Gargano. You can't have a bad match with Pete Dunne. No one can. Roderick Strong, he's self-explanatory. He's been one of the best things about NXT ever since he joined the Undisputed Era. Velveteen Dream, what can I say about the Velveteen Dream? The guy can make anything work. The guy's put on match of the year candidate after match of the year candidate after match of the year candidate. The Velveteen Dream has had a superstar-like career, and he's only, 23, 24? The guy is an absolute prodigy. The guy's going to be a prodigy. At this point, when the Dream won, Roderick Strong lost. Roderick Strong did not win the North American Championship. I'd become very concerned, and in the back of my mind, I was thinking to myself, that's it. Adam Cole is losing the NXT Championship. Adam Cole is losing the NXT Championship, and Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era are getting called up. Vince wants him on SmackDown for the Fox deal. That is what I had in the back of my mind. Johnny Gargano was going to become a 2-time NXT champion, and he was going to finish the feud with Tommaso Ciampa. I mean, that's the only thing that I could have thought of. And I was thinking that for the rest of the night until the ending of that 3 Stages of Hell match. Then we had the NXT Women's Championship match between Mia Yim and Shayna Baszler. Now, if there was something that was going to be a down point of the show, it was going to be this match for 2 reasons specifically. Number 1, take a look at the 3 matches that came before this NXT Women's Championship match. Take a look at Io Shirai and Candice LeRae. Take a look at Undisputed Era and the Street Profits. And then take a look at the triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship. After those 3 matches, those 3 classics, you really think the crowd was going to have any energy left for Mia Yim and Shayna Baszler? It really took away a lot of heat. The 3 matches that preceded the NXT Women's Championship match took all the energy and all the heat out of the crowd. That's number 1. Number 2 is the fact that this match was paced very slow and methodical. And when you pace a slow and methodical matchup after those three classics that we had just seen, you know for a fact that that's not going to help. That's not going to help at all. The crowd was dead because of those three matches that preceded it, and it was extremely hard to follow. And two, the match was very slow and methodical. And it's because of that that it made it a down point of the show. Now, I'm not saying that it was a terrible match. I'm not saying that it was one of the worst matches of the year. I'm not saying that whatsoever. Mia Yim did fine against Shayna Baszler. I'm just saying that the slow, methodical pace didn't help the match, especially since it had to follow those three matches that I just named. The story of the match was Shayna Baszler's arm. Shayna Baszler's arm was the story of the match because Mia Yim, she took the arm, she wedged the arm between the steel steps, and then she kicked the steel steps. Shayna Baszler was in pain in her right arm for the majority of the match. Shayna Baszler then started to wear down Mia Yim, but she couldn't use the right arm. That was the entire story of this match. Mia Yim started to gain some momentum, hit a belly-to-belly throw. Mia Yim was on the top rope. Mia Yim was on the top rope, and Shayna Baszler was going for her patented avalanche gut-wrench suplex that she usually does. The avalanche gut-wrench suplex. And she couldn't do it. She couldn't do it because of her arm. Mia Yim took over control. She hooked the arm. She hooked the right arm behind her leg. She hooked the arm of Shayna Baszler behind her leg, and she did an avalanche code blue from the middle rope. A sunset flip powerbomb, avalanche code blue from the middle rope. That was the best spot of the match. Avalanche code blue got a 2 count on Shayna Baszler. Avalanche code blue from the top. Shayna Baszler tried to lock in the Karafuda clutch twice. She could not do it. Mia Yim broke out of it the first time, and she stepped on Shayna Baszler's arm the same way that Shayna Baszler steps on everyone else's arm. She said, "This is karma," and stomped on Shayna Baszler's arm, further injuring it. She further injured the arm. Shayna Baszler tried to lock in the Karafuda clutch again, but Mia Yim wrenched the fingers back. She was bending the fingers back, wrenching the arm to get out of the Karafuda clutch, and she successfully did, but Shayna Baszler, the technical wizard that she is, locked in a modified Karafuda clutch with her legs. She locked in a modified Karafuda clutch with her legs. And after that, Mia Yim taps out. Shayna Baszler retains the NXT Women's Championship. It was a down point of the show. It was a very slow-paced match. The crowd was dead for the majority of it. They only popped for that avalanche code blue from the top, and when Mia Yim and Shayna Baszler were jockeying for position over the Karafuda clutch and other submission moves. Outside of that, it really didn't do anything. It really didn't do anything. The three matches that preceded it took the crowd completely out of it, and the slow, methodical pace did not help the match whatsoever. If there was one match that was going to be the calm-down match, it was going to be this one. The outcome surprised me. I was not expecting Shayna Baszler to retain, and I'll explain why. I understand that Mia Yim is not everyone's favorite wrestler. A lot of people think that she's not ready. A lot of people think that she is boring. A lot of people think that Mia Yim is just another person that's there and she doesn't have any emotional connection with the crowd. Listen, I get that. I understand that, but who's left? Who's left? There's literally nobody left. There's nobody left. Shayna Baszler has run through everyone. Shayna Baszler has beaten everyone there is. There is no more baby faces left for Shayna Baszler to face off against for the NXT Women's Championship. There's nobody. And, you know, I would say that you could build someone up between now and TakeOver War Games 3, but who is there to build up? There's nobody. There's absolutely nobody to build up. Candice LeRae just lost. You can't just insert her into an NXT Women's Championship match after she lost. Mia Yim lost. Bianca Belair, I mean, it's a possibility because she did tweet at Shayna Baszler after the matchup. After Mia Yim lost, she did tweet saying that she wants another match with Shayna. But at the same point in time, I don't think WWE is actually going to have Bianca Belair be the one to take the title off of Shayna. You know for a fact that Fox Sports wants Shayna. Fox Sports wants Shayna, and Shayna is going to be a major focal point in the women's division when SmackDown Live moves to Fox Sports. Is she going to do double duty? It's a possibility. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. She very well could do double duty. Where does the NXT Women's Championship go from here? Well, the wheels in my head were turning. Bianca Belair. She called out Shayna Baszler. Do I think she's going to be NXT Women's Champion now? No. Io Shirai got a win over Candice LeRae. You know for a fact that that feud is not over. If Candice LeRae and Io Shirai is over, they're doing something wrong. This feud cannot end after one match. The creative wheels in my head started turning, and I formulated something that they could have done, or they very well could do. If they want to, I can definitely see the WWE booking a fatal four-way match at NXT TakeOver War Games 3 between Shayna, Bianca, Io, and Candice. Io Shirai would win the NXT Women's Championship by pinning Candice LeRae. Not Baszler, not Belair. She pins Candice LeRae to win the NXT Women's Championship in that fatal four-way. Thus, further solidifying Io Shirai as a top heel and further building up Candice LeRae as that underdog babyface. And you can play off the fact that Candice LeRae has never beaten Io Shirai. Io Shirai has Candice LeRae's number. You can build up the story of Candice LeRae having to go through hell and high water, having to have to go through the woman that she has never beaten before to win the NXT Women's Championship. Have her go on the Johnny Gargano-like storyline. Have her go in to that Johnny Gargano role. Build her up as the fairy tale woman. She's never beaten Io Shirai. Io Shirai beats her in the Fatal 4-Way match by pinning her to win the NXT Women's Championship at TakeOver War Games 3. Io Shirai can have an interim title defense against Mia Yim at TakeOver Houston in January. Then you build up Candice LeRae for Io Shirai at WrestleMania weekend in Tampa Bay, Florida. Candice LeRae finally defeats Io Shirai at NXT TakeOver Tampa before WrestleMania. Candice LeRae has a Johnny Gargano-like moment and wins the NXT Women's Championship. They could do that. Matter of fact, I think that that's the best route to go right now. Why wouldn't you want to do that? The storyline with Io Shirai and Candice LeRae right now, it's so big that it calls for the NXT Women's Championship. It would really enhance that feud. Io Shirai was being booed like hell at TakeOver. Candice LeRae was the babyface. Clear cut. Candice LeRae is so good of a babyface that she's going to make Io Shirai that much better of a heel. That's why you can't end this feud immediately. You book the Fatal 4-Way. You have Io Shirai defeat Candice LeRae in that Fatal 4-Way match. Have Io Shirai pin Candice to win the NXT Women's Championship. Candice is 0-2 against Io. Io goes into NXT TakeOver Tampa. WrestleMania weekend. Goes up against Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae wins the NXT Women's Championship. Here you go. Now, Mia Yim, obviously, I thought would have won because Shayna was going up to Fox Sports. She was going up to the main roster. Should there be a draft after SummerSlam, Mia Yim would have been the perfect transitional champion for Io Shirai. I'm not necessarily mad. I'm just surprised. But with every takeover that passes that Shayna Baszler retains, with every single takeover that passes that Shayna Baszler retains, it's only further validating the point that Shayna Baszler should have never gotten a second reign as NXT Women's Champion. She really shouldn't have. And I can't help but think that it's because that Vince McMahon didn't have a plan for Shayna and he's not a fan of Shayna. So Triple H had no choice but to give her the NXT Women's Championship because of the fact that her mystique would have been lost if she was just floating around in NXT in a sea of nothing while everyone else was fighting over the NXT Women's Championship. But the fact still stands that Kairi Sane was shafted. Kairi Sane should have had a much longer reign as NXT Women's Champion. Kairi Sane should have defeated Shayna, and she should have dropped the title to Belair either at the end of 2018 or at the beginning of 2019 at NXT TakeOver Phoenix. Shayna Baszler had no business gaining a second reign as NXT Women's Champion. She didn't. It really didn't make any sense to have Shayna Baszler win the NXT Women's Championship for a second time. But now that you have it, you have that beast in Shayna Baszler, now you need to transfer that. You need to transfer that with a Fatal 4-Way match at TakeOver War Games 3. You transfer that title reign, that mystique, that aura to Io Shirai. You transfer that in a Fatal 4-Way match, having Io beat Candice. You essentially kill two birds with one stone. You get Io that much more over because she pinned Candice LeRae again, the lovable babyface, and she ended the dominant reign of Shayna Baszler without actually beating Shayna Baszler. It would be perfect. You need to transfer that mystique and that aura from Shayna Baszler to Io Shirai. Io is the new top heel on NXT television. Again, I was shocked by the outcome of Mia Yim and Shayna Baszler, but at the same point in time, I'm not mad. We'll see how it plays out. Is Shayna doing double duty? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Main event, Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano. 3 stages of hell. This was a fantastic match. Probably one of the best matches of the year. One of the best matches of the year. Absolutely fantastic. I could watch Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano fight all day long over the NXT Championship. And you know something? I'm even going to say it right now. I think I'm going to say it. This trilogy, Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano, the trilogy of Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano was better than the Tommaso Ciampa Johnny Gargano trilogy. I'm just pointing that out there. You don't agree with me? I don't care. After the 3 matches that we've seen between Gargano and Cole, it was better than the Ciampa trilogy. It really was. The match started off with the regular match. The regular match between Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole. Standard wrestling match. It was Adam Cole's stipulation. He won the coin toss to have the first fall be his fall. This was great wrestling. Great back and forth. We had the wheelbarrow suplex onto the apron. Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole going back and forth. Gargano got caught with an enziguri as he went for a suicide dive. Gargano and Adam Cole going back and forth in the ring. Super kicks. Flatliners. Enziguris. Counter for counter. Gargano trying to catch Adam Cole in the Gargano escape. Cole trying to catch Gargano with the last shot. There was a point where Adam Cole actually took a steel chair, and he was actually risking a disqualification. And the ref's like, no, this is not a street fight. Give me the chair. Ref took the chair from Cole. Cole turned to Gargano. Kicked him right in the balls. Gargano kicked out. Gargano ended up taking the chair for himself, and he risked the entire match for himself by giving Adam Cole the first fall. He gave Adam Cole the first fall, and Adam Cole won the first fall by DQ. And Johnny Gargano, there's a method to Johnny Gargano's madness. He sat in the chair, and he waited for the referee to call the match and start the new one. He waited, and the announcer said, the second fall will be a street fight. And you saw Gargano go, oh yeah. And he takes the chair, starts beating the shit out of Adam Cole, tosses Adam Cole into the crowd, starts beating the shit out of Adam Cole in the crowd, tosses him over the barricade, back into the ringside area. Adam Cole gets back body dropped through the table. Adam Cole gets back body dropped by Gargano off the American announce table through the Spanish announce table. Rip Spanish announce table. He had a family. Back into the ring goes Adam Cole. Gargano brings out chairs and more tables. and the crowd started chanting Johnny Tables, which I was laughing my ass off about. I fucking love that. You gotta put that on a t-shirt and sell it. Hashtag Johnny Tables. So he tossed the tables into the ring. He tossed the tables into the ring. He tossed the chairs into the ring. Adam Cole tried to fight back, but Gargano got him in the Gargano escape, and Adam Cole tapped out. Adam Cole tapped out, and Gargano tied it up. It was 1-1. Now, there was a cage, a black tarping above the ring, and everyone thought it was going to be Hell in a Cell, but it was more than just Hell in a Cell. It was a steel cage with barbed wire on the top, with chairs, kendo sticks, sledgehammers, tables, a ladder, a bag full of tools, which came into play later, just littered all over the arena. Littered all over, not over the arena, all over the cage. Littered all over the cage. It was a cage with weapons wedged in between the cage for the superstars to use at their will. Some crazy ass shit there. That's some crazy ass shit. I was not expecting it, but it was the perfect way to end the feud. They said, there is no escape from the cage. There's no escape from the cage. Pin or make your opponent submit. You got all these weapons at your disposal. Fantastic. These two went back and forth. We had them beating the shit out of each other with kendo sticks. We had a double super kick. Both men are down. Crowd's going crazy. Crowd's chanting fight forever. Crowd is chanting NXT. We had Gargano go up to the top, get a sledgehammer. I believe that Adam Cole took him out momentarily. He went up to the top. He went up to the top to get a ladder. He went up to the top to get a ladder. And both men crashed to the floor after bringing the ladder down. There was a point where Johnny Gargano took a fire extinguisher and spritzed Adam Cole with the fire extinguisher. There was two chairs propped up. Two chairs were propped up behind Adam Cole. Gargano spritzed Cole with the fire extinguisher and did a tornado DDT in which Adam Cole looked like his eyes landed right on the edge of the chair. You know how the chair's like this? His eyes landed right here. And he was holding his face afterwards. He was holding his face, and he just gingerly rolled his shoulder up to kick out. He was holding his face. He was in fucking pain after that spot. He was in fucking pain. That looked brutal. There was a point where Adam Cole took the ladder. He set up the ladder. Johnny Gargano was taken out. Cole jumped from one of the higher rungs on the ladder. He was like 2 rungs away from standing on the tippity top of the ladder. He jumped from one of the higher rungs of the ladder, jumped down onto Johnny into the Panama Sunrise. Got some extra momentum on that. Super Panama Sunrise. And Gargano kicked out. If you thought that was a Super Panama Sunrise, you should have seen what Gargano did. Cole had Gargano in the corner where Gargano spritzed him with the fire extinguisher. Gargano ended up fighting back, and he took Cole, and he did a huge Canadian destroyer from the top rope. Adam Cole landing right on his head. I swear, the Canadian destroyer, it's the Canadian destroyer and the reverse Rana in which I always am fearful of. There is literally no way to make that move look safe. Every single time someone takes that move, I am fearful that the person taking the move is going to get paralyzed. Whether it's Ali, whether it's Murphy, whether it's Cole, whether it's Gargano, whether it's Ciampa, whether it's Andrade. Every single time someone takes a Canadian destroyer or a reverse Rana, I am fearful that they are going to paralyze themselves. Especially that one. Especially that one. From the top rope, Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano. Canadian destroyer from the top rope. If he did not do that right, Adam Cole would be crippled. He would be fucking crippled. He would be paralyzed. He would be paralyzed in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. We had that, and then Gargano, he set up a ladder in the corner, in the far left corner. Set up 2 tables right below the ladder. 2 tables. Gargano had Cole down momentarily. He took the toolbox, and everyone thought there was thumbtacks in it. But it was actually tools. And he got bolt cutters. He got some bolt cutters. He went up to the top rope, and he climbed the cage, and he clipped the barbed wire. He clipped the barbed wire and took a piece of it. And he was going to beat the shit out of Adam Cole with the barbed wire. And Adam Cole's looking up at Johnny. Johnny holding the barbed wire. And Adam Cole's like, fuck this, I'm getting out of here. And he climbs up the cage and starts scooting along the top of the cage to another table. Not a wooden table, a plastic table. It was a hard plastic table. It was a hard plastic table with it was like a hard white plastic table. And they were on the top. Adam Cole scooted along the top of the cage to get to it. Johnny Gargano, he climbed the ladder to get to it. Both men are on top. The crowd's chanting, please don't die. They're trading punches back and forth on their knees. Johnny Gargano takes the barbed wire. He's attempting to wrap the barbed wire around Adam Cole's head. Jesus Christ-like. Give him a crown of thorns, so to speak. His own personal crown of thorns, or a crown of barbed wire. He was attempting to wrap the barbed wire around Adam Cole's head. Adam Cole stood up. Gargano stood up with him. Both men fell off to the side. He fell off to the side. They missed the ladder. They missed the first table and just barely broke the second table. They landed flush on the second table. They completely missed the first one. If they had missed both tables, I swear to God, if they landed wrong, one of them would have been dead, or they would have dislocated their shoulders. They would have dislocated their shoulders. They would have broken something. They would have torn something. They landed right by the table. They landed right at the edge of the second table and broke the second table. Both men crashed through the table. Both men are down. The crowd can't believe it. Adam Cole just has enough energy to crawl over and put one hand over Gargano. 1, 2, 3. That's it. Adam Cole retains the NXT Championship in an absolute war. It was a fucking war. I genuinely don't even know it was an absolute war. The ending of this matchup shocked me. It shocked me because of the fact that the Undisputed Era lost the tag team title match, and then they lost the North American title match. For Adam Cole to retain the title, it really wouldn't have made sense, because then the Undisputed Era is not going up. I was under the impression that Adam Cole was going to lose the title and he was going to go up with the rest of the Undisputed Era. Because they can't go up without Adam Cole. They can't go up unless they're a unit. And, you know, it's funny because when Adam Cole won the NXT title at TakeOver 25, I was shocked and I didn't have an answer. Now he retained the title at TakeOver Toronto 2, and I'm shocked and I don't have a legitimate answer. I genuinely don't know what inspired Triple H to have Adam Cole be the only member of the Undisputed Era that won a championship, or retained a championship in this sense. Again, as I stated earlier, maybe Triple H wanted to give the Street Profits a longer run with the NXT Tag Team titles, even though it would have been a perfect time to have the Undisputed Era hold all the gold, Evolution style. But maybe Triple H wanted to give the Street Profits a longer run because he knows that the Street Profits are not going to be used in a vital way when they get called up to the main roster. Because that's what Vince does. He hasn't used any talent in a vital way that came from NXT. Outside of maybe The Shield and Kevin Owens. Outside of those four individuals, no one's been used in a vital way on the main roster. And I believe it was the outcome of the tag team title match that kind of dictated the outcome of the North American Championship match, and that's why Velveteen Dream retained. In my eyes, I can definitely see this happening. Maybe, just maybe, Triple H wanted to save the moment for the Undisputed Era for War Games. Maybe, to sell War Games, maybe he's going to do this. Maybe for War Games, Triple H is looking to sell the pay-per-view by having the Undisputed Era take on the Street Profits, Velveteen Dream, and either Matt Riddle or Tommaso Ciampa. Depends. Those four men against the Undisputed Era inside War Games in Chicago in November for the NXT Tag Team, the NXT North American, and the NXT Championship, where it's winner take all. Maybe he wanted to save the moment where the Undisputed Era holds all the gold for that pay-per-view specifically. Maybe he's going to book a match similar to what I just named, with those men in it, and the Undisputed Era is going to win. Undisputed Era is going to win, and the Undisputed Era is going to hold all the gold by November. I know for a fact that Triple H is not going to let that line from Adam Cole at the end of 2018 where he said that the Undisputed Era is going to be dripped in championship gold. You know for a fact that he is not going to allow that line to go unprophesized. You know for a fact that it's not going to go unprophesized. You know for a fact that Triple H is going to look to make sure that the Undisputed Era holds all the gold in NXT. Because there is a 1 in a billion chance that that's going to happen on the main roster. Vince would never do that. I don't know where Adam Cole goes. I don't know what he's going to do as far as the NXT Championship goes going into War Games. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe we do get a winners take all War Games. As far as Johnny Gargano goes, what is there left to prove? By the way that everything played out, it really looked like that was Johnny Gargano's last match in NXT. It could very well be the end for Johnny Gargano. I don't think that Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano are going to get to finish that feud. I don't think that Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa are facing off at War Games. I think that Johnny Gargano could very well be called up to the main roster after SummerSlam in a draft scenario, wherever that may be, whether it's Raw or whether it's SmackDown. It really does suck. It really does suck because I don't have any faith. I don't have any faith in WWE to keep the specialness that is Johnny Gargano alive. Johnny Gargano is perhaps one of, if not the best performer to step through NXT. He's up there with the likes of Nakamura. He's up there with the likes of Finn Balor. He's up there with the likes of Neville. He's up there with the likes of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. In my eyes, I think he trumps all of them. I don't think I've ever seen a performer with the consistent amount of talent like Johnny Gargano. I don't think there's ever going to be another Johnny Gargano in NXT. It's really going to be tough to fill that void when Johnny Gargano leaves. Wherever Johnny may go, I wish him the best of luck. A phenomenal matchup, one of the best matches of the year. That's definitely going to go down in NXT history as an absolute classic. I don't know where Adam Cole goes. Just like I said, I think they may do a winners take all War Games. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Especially with the breakout tournament winner getting a shot at an NXT Championship of their choosing. Whether that be the NXT North American or the NXT Championship. We'll have to see how that plays out. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of The Rewind. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this video. Follow me on my new Twitter at Man of Charisma. Help me get to 100 followers by the end of SummerSlam. I also want you guys to follow me on Instagram at The DJ Storms. I also want you guys to go and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Leave a comment down below what you think is going to be the outcome of Adam Cole's championship reign going into War Games. What do you think was the best matchup on NXT TakeOver Toronto 2 as well? Where do you think the NXT Women's Championship picture is going to end up? Let me know down in the comment section. Hit that thumbs up. We're trying to get this video to 15 thumbs up. Hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it's the best time to be on YouTube. Go and check out the Lightning Flash update from a couple days ago. I will post the link in the description. Go and check out the rundown for SummerSlam if you haven't already done so as well. You'll get my predictions, and you'll get me and Thunder in a chillaxation session, if you know what I mean. But you're going to have to go and watch the video to see where me and Thunder end up in the end. Thunder also gives a great acapella performance for the rundown for SummerSlam. Check that out. The link will be in the description. Tomorrow is the rewind for SummerSlam 2019. I will have Tyson Arnold on the show. He was at SummerSlam, or he's currently going to be at SummerSlam. He was also at TakeOver. Him and me are going to dissect SummerSlam match by match and tell you where every single superstar could end up after the biggest event of the summer. Or the most ordinary event of the summer, in my eyes, because it's Summer Bland. It's not SummerSlam, it's Summer Bland as saltine crackers and mashed potatoes without butter and salt. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm DJ Storms. This has been The Rewind. You guys enjoy SummerSlam, and I will catch you tomorrow for the Rewind for SummerSlam with Tyson Arnold.